Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to not a Cardmaker card tutorial. We're going to start out showing you the items that I'm going to be using, or the tools I'll be using. We've got the picked raspberry, squeezed lemonade, and Peacock feather distressed oxides with the foam tool to start out with, same as last week. We are going to be using the black and white enamel dot set. We also will be using the stamp of the month as well as some stamp blocks, obviously. And we will be using this stencil from Stencil Pack 1, as well as some of the stock pre-made cards and envelopes that Close to My Heart sells. So we're going to go ahead and start out by using, well, first of all, I'm going to use this colored piece of paper to go ahead and protect my desk with. Then I'm going to lay the stencil over this card base. Now at first I'm going to use washi tape to hold it down, and that just wasn't secure enough. So I end up pulling out some repositionable adhesive to put down the stencil and the card and the paper and whatnot. You can see right here I am pulling off the foam block. I am going to realize that if I start with this, I'm going to get ink all up on the other side of that card, right? So I am going to end up pulling in another piece of paper to go ahead and mask that so I won't get that all inky. When you do this project, or if you do this project, you can cut a card front instead of using the actual card, because the problem we're going to have is we're going to have some bleed through on the inside of the card. So we'll either have to cover it up with another piece of paper, or maybe you can let it fly the way it is, or you can cut your card front off and put it on another card, or yeah, we will have some bleed through, and that's going to be an issue with putting this ink directly onto the card base. But you can see right here, we're doing a lot like we did in the last video. We're going to go ahead and start with Peacock feathers over to the left hand side. Then we'll pull out some squeezed lemonade and use that over on the right hand side. And then we'll go ahead and blend them all together with the picked raspberry. I do want picked raspberry showing, but I also want it to blend into that corally orange and also into that purple. So we are going to make sure we do leave enough space that we can show some of the picked raspberry, but also show some blending as well. So here we go doing this. I think this is absolutely fabulous. What actually makes this pop for me is when the outlining starts. The outlining is what makes this design pop. So we are going to go ahead and start outlining now. You can see when we taped this stencil down, I tried to line it up the best I could, but the best I could might not be the same as the best you could. You could probably do it better. I do have a little bit of either side showing a little bit. I will try to fix that just with some of this ink off this pen. Now this pen that we are using, this is one of the Spectrum Noir pens. It's the one in black that we do sell at Close to My Heart. All the products I used on here, I do believe, are products that I picked up at Close to My Heart. So yes, this does take a bit of time. This is a labor of love. So if someone receives a card like this from me, I love you. This is definitely a labor of love because it does take quite a bit of time, and also being careful not to mess up too bad. Like I did on one of them, my stencil shifted. That's why I said I ended up going back in with the removable adhesive to hold it down just a little bit better, because I did have a shift on one. Gunner, for real? Sound like he ended that with Mom. Anyway, we are going to go ahead and finish outlining this, and I'm going to go take care of that mess. Okay, we are going to now go ahead and stamp out our sentiments. I have my little white pieces of paper here. You can see I have a note. So black is 2.25 by 5.5, and the white pieces are 2 inches by 5.5 inches. I am going to start by stamping the words. So there are 3 different phrases. We're going to start with the center one just so we can kind of get it center-ish. I am using that T-square ruler to kind of find the center of it right there. It says, "You are the goats." Then we'll stamp over to the right hand side and also to the left hand side of that for the sentiments. If you start with the center and work your way out, for me anyways, I have a better chance of my stamping to be centered, you know, and correct. I don't measure a lot. Mostly I eyeball things. So this is kind of helpful for me because, you know, sometimes things are off. You can see it says, "Just because you're the goat and thanks for all you do." So of course, above "you're the goat," we're going to stamp the goat. Above "thanks for all you do," we're going to stamp the owl. And above "just because," we are going to stamp the crab. Now we're going to kind of blend these together. You saw how the background kind of blends with the yellow, the pink, and the blue. We're going to do the same here. We're going to put part of our stamp, a big part of our stamp on the right hand side in yellow and a little bit in the pink, and then we're gonna go ahead and stamp it down. Now you will get some cross contamination in your inks. It's not a big deal. You can see my inks look pretty clean right there because I have used them. I've done this stamping technique before, but then I've also used them for other things. It clears itself up basically in my experience anyways. So we're going to do the same thing on the center goat. We're going to do it with the pink and the blue. Go ahead and stamp him right there. And then we'll do the same thing with the crab. He will be blue with mostly pink. However, or mostly blue with a little bit of pink. However, you can see he's not blended very well because he goes into the green and then back into the purple, or into the blue and then back into the purple and into the blue again. So it didn't come out quite as I had planned. Some of them come out much better than the others. I am not really a card maker. And actually you can tell that the beginning sample card that I did, we did change some things from where we did have them. I do want to point out that you can see the inside where we outlined. It does bleed through a little bit, so you can see that on the inside. You can put a piece of paper or something over that, or instead of stamping, or instead of stenciling and outlining directly onto the card, we could have did a card front, which I didn't do that either. Again, not really a card maker. You live and you learn. So here I am just touching up some of these lines a little bit. You can see where my stencil was a little bit away from the edge. So I'm just going to fill in that black on the edge right there. Just doing a little touch up. And then we'll go ahead and put this down. I put the white onto the black, and then we're just going to set it right here onto the card. We will then add some enamel dots. Now in the sample pack, I went way overboard with the enamel dots. So on this one, I'm actually, I think, just putting 4 on there. 4 big black ones, which is perfect for me because the big enamel dots, not my favorite. They're harder for me to use on scrapbook pages. So yeah, I think this was a great use for those big dots that I have a hard time with. So after that, this card is finished. You can stamp something inside. You can cover up the thing on the inside, whatever. Again, I'm not really a card maker, so I don't, you know, necessarily go all out when I make cards. So that's about it, guys. Here, let me show you. This is the one we just finished. I think I pull in, yeah, that was the original one. Look at all those dots. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me. Please check the links down below if you'd like to pick yourself up anything. The stamp we used is the stamp of the month from Close to My Heart for March 2022. I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.